Hello, today we are going to talk about important design principles of your infographic project. It's important that I say that we're only going to talk about just 3 design principles, but there are so many that are out there and that you can incorporate into your project. So please don't feel restricted by these 3. These are probably the 3 most common ones that are used within an infographic, and they can be quite effective, so that's why we're going to go over them today. So the first one we're going to talk about is color. Color is very important. Color is what can help you emphasize certain things through your infographic. There are 2 main ways that you can do that, and the first one is the use of one main color. We see that with this yellow example in the top right. We see that it's basically one color, yellow. There seems to be a couple different shades of yellow within that, but it's still just yellow. But it really helps us emphasize what the mood is of this infographic. We can see that it seems to be joyful, very positive, and that's exactly what we're advertising here, is positive energy. Compared to another way to emphasize is contrasting colors, which we actually see with the bottom example with the burger. The red and the blue are 2 contrasting colors that really make the lettering and the middle image of that burger pop and really draws your eye to it. Some other tips: it is important to match your colors to the overall mood you want to convey. We saw that again in that first yellow infographic. Yellow is usually one of those more joyful colors. In this case, they're using that to their advantage because we're talking about a positive energy company here. And another tip is the color contrast. So let's look back down here with the burger example. This is an example of high contrasting colors. We've got the red and we've got the blue. Those are not shades within each other. They are 2 separate colors that help emphasize what's around it. Versus low contrasting colors, those are where we would use the same color but different shades, but that could help us distinguish different pieces of the same thing. So let's skip ahead to another example really quick where we can see that, is this purple and the blue. But let's look at this purple one here. Purple is one of the main colors in this example, the price of fast fashion. And we use that darker purple to really kind of separate where our eyes need to look and guide us in a way. Versus the lighter purple is a nice background color, but also helps distinguish between these higher contrasting colors. So this price of fast fashion is actually a great example of both using high contrast colors and low contrast colors to get the point across. Now let's talk about balance. This is one design principle, one element that you do not want to overpower. You don't want to necessarily do this one incorrectly. So in other ways to think about this is we try to think about it as it is similar to symmetry. We do not want one side of our infographic to be heavier than the other. So we see with both of these examples that they seem to be balanced very well. There's not one side of the poster that has more text, more images. They just seem to balance each other out very well, which is what we want. So one way that you can almost check yourself is ask yourself, does your infographic lean one way or another? If it does, you don't necessarily need to add on any more text or pictures of some sort. You can manipulate the shape and size of each element. You can increase the size or decrease the size to take up space or to gain more of that white space, depending on what you need to do to make sure that you are balanced. Let's look at 2 more examples of what that looks like. Again, we can kind of mentally split the infographic in half and say, does one side overpower the other? No, which means that these are balanced. And what both of these posters, infographics, also do that is a good thing to carry with you when you're doing your infographic is if you're going to repeat similar shapes. Sometimes it is good to keep them the same size. That way you know that even when you're deciding where to place them, that they at least are the same size. That might be very helpful with trying to figure out if you're balanced or not, versus dealing with the same one shape with multiple sizes. Finally, let's look at lines. Lines, this one might seem kind of obvious in that lines are everywhere, but lines can be a very, very effective infographic design element. We use lines to help enhance, direct, and create movement, yes, but although they're very simple, they can be very effective. I mean, let's just look at this first example here for a second. The lines, we see that there's a number 1 with review goals, and our eyes naturally want to go there for many reasons, but we're starting there anyway, and the lines guide us to the next points that this creator of the infographic want us to see. We don't necessarily feel like we need to find what's next. We're just guided that way, which is really, really good. They used lines effectively. So one of those tips is, yes, to have those strong lines that lead your eyes through the infographic or to your focal points, because we don't want someone looking at our infographic and not necessarily knowing where to look next. We want it to almost be obvious. Lines are everywhere. Use them to your advantage. Yes, I don't think you can go wrong with putting lines in your infographic. It is one of, in my opinion, the most important design elements. And just some sort of tips, fun tips. Straight lines usually do indicate neatness, when wavy lines usually indicate excitement or tension. So let's look at 2 more examples and see how lines are used to make the infographic effective. So let's look at this one on the left, the COVID-19 and the refugee crisis timeline. Now, this one uses line originally because the point of the infographic is to present it to you as a timeline. So, of course, you are going to need lines, but same thing. We naturally kind of start to the left of most things because we read left to right. So we're starting with March 11th, 2020, and that's exactly where the author of the infographic wants us to start. And we move gradually to the right, reading these events, and we can tell that we're going the right way because of the dates, but also the placements on the line. So it's a subtle effect that we don't even really think about, but the creator of the infographic did. And let's look at this other example, learning out of poverty. We can see that there is a woman standing in front of us in a cap and gown, and her eyes seem to kind of gradually go there first, I think, because the darker blackish, dark brown color she's wearing of her cap and gown are contrasting to the other colors in the background. So see that? We're using another element, and that wasn't even the point of the example. And we see that the 2 lines that make up this road or path kind of lead us backwards. So our eyes gradually go backwards, and we can see how she gets there, how she has earned and gotten to this part of her life where she has graduated. And we can see that there are statistics that have also been added that make us aware of that it wasn't easy for her to get where she is. So it's a very beautiful graphic. The lines are very, very creative, I would say. This is a great example of lines are effective, and it's very subtle. It's not super, super obvious unless you're looking for it. So those were just 3 design principles, like I said, out of many. So feel free to step out of these 3 and use other ones that you think that would be more effective for your infographic. But now let's quickly talk about Canva. To many of you, Canva might be new. It might not be new. Anyway, Canva is wonderful. It is the platform you will be using to create your infographic. They have many, many different templates you can choose from, and it is extremely easy to use. I'm going to show you just a couple screenshots that I think will be most important to you when you do go to create your infographic. But don't worry, it is extremely easy to use. It is best used on your laptop and not your cell phone because of all the clicking options you have. And one other side note I did want to just add in here is I keep referencing how it's very easy to use, but if there is just a concept you're not understanding or you don't understand how to do it in Canva, there are many, many videos online, like just going to YouTube and searching up your problem and putting Canva before or after it. I guarantee you there's a video out there. There's many helpful videos on Canva. And these are just the 3 screenshots I wanted to show you because these are going to be important for you with your infographic. We have the photos and the uploads option. where this is how you're going to upload your data, because the data is going to be given to you as a photo. So you can upload it that way, or just a regular upload, however you decide, but it will probably be one of those two options for you. You have the icons and the shapes and stickers. Feel free to mess around with this and find out what you want to use. You can use shapes as kind of in your background to put emphasis on your text or other images, or you can just do it to put a picture on your infographic. And there's also the font library, so you are not limited, to Arial or Times New Roman. You can definitely base your font on the mood and the message you're trying to get across in your infographic. So just be creative. I really do suggest that before you just dive right into making your infographic, you do log into Canva and you do mess around with it a little bit, just so you become more familiar with the options. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this project. It's a lot of fun, and I hope that you love Canva. All right, thank you.